Hi, I just wanted to take a minute to talk to you about what we'll call authorship in video. Now, the notion of authorship in video is a totally new concept because for the entire history of television, at least for the last 70 years, and film before that, it was such an expensive process to make that there was really no sense of authorship. Most television, particularly television journalism, as you know, was made by a cameraman, a sound man, a producer, an editor was a different person, sometimes there's a writer, and as a result, almost all video that got turned out for the last 70 years was done on kind of a cookie-cutter basis. If you look at news, for example, if anybody still watches television news, or even if you see video news pieces that get repeated in magazines and stuff like this, they all basically look the same. We'll call it the CBS CNN syndrome. It's always the same thing, a little bit of B-roll, a talking head, some narration, and then we're done. The reason for that is that up until yesterday, the whole process of making television, no matter what kind of television it was so complicated and so expensive, particularly so expensive that people were very nervous because every time you had the crew and the cameraman and stuff like that, you were burning money, so nobody wanted to take any risks. The great advantage we have with shooting with iPhones, like I'm doing right now, is that this doesn't cost anything. So as a result, we can take risks and we can start to play around with the medium in ways that have never happened before. For the very first time in the history of video, the means of making the product, in other words, like the pen or the typewriter or the word processor, is now in the hands of everyone, as opposed to being in the hands of just a very few people. The result is that we have an opportunity to kind of advance the medium, to create entirely new ways of doing this that no one has ever done before. The reason we can do this is what I would call freedom to fail. That is, it doesn't cost anything to make video. For example, right now, I'm just sitting in my living room in front of my iPhone making a video talking to you, which is great, but it hasn't cost me anything. And you know what? If it turns out badly in the end, I'll just throw it out and I'll try it again and I'll try it again. If I had had to hire a crew and a cameraman and light the thing and have a director and all that crap that goes along with filmmaking, I would never be able to take any risks. So I don't have a fear of failure here because nobody's going to see it except for me, and if I don't like it, I can throw it away. Novels are written the same way. If you start to write a novel and you write 5 pages on your word processor and you don't like it, you just delete it. It hasn't cost you anything. But if every time you use the laptop, you had to pay $10,000 and have a laptop crew, your writing would be very nervous. In fact, you probably wouldn't even do it. So that's one of the things I want to urge you to do now. Take your iPhone, take your video camera, and just make stuff. And maybe it's going to be terrible or maybe it's going to be great, but just start to make stuff and make stuff that you think is important, that you think is kind of interesting, that you think is cool, that reflects what's in your head. If you're nervous, send it to me and I'll send you critiques. I mean, if you're really nervous, just throw it out. But I want to look at stuff, so just send me stuff, whatever it is. And most of it's going to be crap, but every once in a while, we're going to have a breakout and we're going to find an entirely new format. But we're only going to be able to do that if you and you and you and I and everyone else just keeps trying different things. So one of the purposes of the VJ.com is a place where you can experiment. And we're only going to advance this medium if we all experiment together. So I urge you, just make things. Send them to me. I'm happy to give you my opinion. Not that my opinion means anything. What do you care what I think? Talk to you later.